that is incredible to watch. It is so fun to watch that it's you hardly see any slam dunks, but you know what? It's still the most exciting brand of basketball that I've ever seen. I can't put it past them to win 73 games this year. I thought they were going to lose tonight to the Raptors. They pulled it out. They're a gutty team. I'd love to see them go into that Christmas Day matchup against LeBron and the Cavs 28-0 and just kind of have that on Christmas. That would be a lot of fun.
So keeping up with Golden State, and one of the things that's really bothered me is how the NBA has treated Luke Walton and his coaching for this team. Obviously, Steve Kerr has been out recovering from a spinal leakage. I mean, that just sounds absolutely horrid, and I couldn't fathom what it had to feel like. But the fact that he wins the Coach of the Month award, and basically is told, yeah, all these wins that are being amassed, they're not yours. You can't have them. You can keep that trophy, but it's going to be for no wins. I have an issue with this. But in your opinion, what kind of role has Luke Walton actively played as far as this surge, this historic surge by Golden State?
Well, you got to understand, first of all, I hope that Steve Kerr gets better. And second of all, there's a rule in place. So long as there's a rule on the books that says he can't get credit for these wins, so be it. You can't go against those rules. Do I think it should be reevaluated? Absolutely. I don't know if it's written in stone. I don't think anybody cited like it says in the rule book, this code and this dash whatever, that he cannot get credit for these wins. I think the NBA might be arbitrarily pulling this out of their backside, or we really don't know. Maybe there is some sort of precedent that I don't really know about. Do I think he should get credit for the wins? Absolutely. Well, how much of a factor is he? Well, he's a good deal of the factor, because if you listen to what he's saying to his teams, take for instance tonight against the Raptors. They were playing really hard. They weren't playing very smart. And what did he tell his team? That exact thing. Hey guys, we're playing really hard. We got to play smart. They got too many points off turnovers. They got too many second chance looks. Clean that up. Keep playing with the same effort. We're going to win this game. And that's exactly what they did. So that's good coaching. That's somebody that understands the game of basketball, and they listen to him. There's a lot of humble guys on that team. Now, Draymond's the exception, and you need one guy like that on every team. But they listen to Luke, and he gets through to them. And I think that he does have an impact. This team's going to be great regardless of who's coaching them. I think we can all agree on that. But I give him a lot of credit.
Well, and so the next follow-up is, how long do you think this run will last? Do you think it'll last all the way to Christmas time when they play the Cavaliers? Yeah, I do. I mean, I actually said that on the Restricted Area podcast, The Wrap with Oliver Maroney, on Friday, and I said, I do think it's going to last, until Christmas, because now I might be wrong, but I think that Steph Curry is going to have like a 1 for 14 type of night, and I just cannot, pick any night. I don't feel comfortable picking any night for that to happen. It's going to happen. He's going to have a bad night. The team's going to lose. We know that. But, I don't feel comfortable picking it anytime soon. With the way this team is playing and the way that they're winning games, look, through 20 games, Steph Curry, he scored 40 points 6 times. The only guy that done that, in the last, 30 years is Michael Jordan. He was pretty good, and so, he hasn't played in the fourth quarter in 6 of the 21 games this season because they've been blowing teams out. It isn't just the way that they're winning, it's the way they're winning. They're so much better than the competition. And the Raptors give them a valiant effort tonight, and they still came out on top, and they didn't play very good basketball, and they still won because they're just so darn talented. So, yeah, I do. I think they're going to be undefeated going into that matchup on Christmas Day. And if everybody's healthy on the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think it'd be a toss-up, but LeBron didn't play tonight. Don't know what's going on with Kyrie, really. I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers are kind of coasting until they get to the postseason. They understand that they're going to be there in the end, and they want to save some energy. They're a little bit older, so I think they will give it all. They're all on Christmas. But even that matchup, I'm hard-pressed to say the Warriors are going to lose that. So I think we're in store for something really, really exciting. You remember in '96, the Bulls went 32-3. In their first 35 games. So while this is phenomenal, the Bulls didn't have that long of a streak. They had they had one loss here and one loss there, to split it up. It isn't completely unprecedented in what they're doing. So last question before we switch gears on this. Do you think they go beyond 72-10
Oh, man. If they stay healthy, and that's one thing, knock on wood, if they stay healthy, I say yes. I think that they're going to win 73, 74 games this year. They're confident. They're unbelievably talented. They're on the cutting edge of the game of basketball. They're playing it in a way that everybody else is trying to catch up to them, basically, and the style that they're playing. They are playing unbelievable basketball. I see them actually doing it if they stay healthy.
All right, let's change gears a little bit. Let's talk about the opposite end of the spectrum, and I'm talking about Philadelphia and the train wreck that is. They broke the record of consecutive losses in all pro sports, not just in the NBA where the Cavaliers had that record, but they broke the other 26-game losing streak with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in football. How deep does this ineptitude go? How long does this? I'm stunned at how bad this team is. It's just unbelievable. They can't even win off the court.
Yeah, they have. Half the guys in their roster shouldn't even be in the league, and it's by design that it's set up that way, and that's the sad thing. Now, I wish I had Sam Hinkie's job where I could go and tell my boss, hey, give me like 7 or 8 years of doing a really crappy job, and I can promise you that something good might happen at the end of that, the process, right? And it's ridiculous, and it's a joke, but we're in the midst of it. He's been very overt about what he's doing. Half of his roster shouldn't be in the NBA. You see what's going on with Okafor? He doesn't have any veteran presence or leadership around him to keep his head clean, keep him out of trouble. He doesn't have anybody like that on the roster or around him. So it's a dumpster fire in more ways than just the losses. It's the culture, the precedent that they're setting. They're putting the league, I think, into a situation where there's starting to be a lot of backlash, not only in Philly, but across the nation. That, like, why are you letting this team do this? Because it really does sully the league's name to allow them to overtly tank like this. So they've got to do something as a league, in my opinion, to offset that. Or these rookie contracts, if these guys start making all-star teams, then, after a year or two, if they make an all-star team, you have to start paying them more money. That way it costs them a lot of money. In the end, they'll have to pay their stars like stars before their rookie contract's up. That way they can't continuously tank. Do something like that so that they de-incentivize teams like this who really give the league a bad name, in my opinion. It's atrocious to watch.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's mind-boggling. And you look at the team. There's no outside of Carl Landry. There's no one that has more than 3 years experience on this team. This team really does have nothing on this roster. I agree with you. There's got to be something done as far as that. But what can you do? Thanks, Nick. We need to put a car crash on there or something because, this is beyond just the price is wrong. This is a complete whammy. And they take all your money away because you're a poor Sixers fan, and all they're doing is robbing you of not only your money but of your dignity and your soul. So
say it! Say it! All right, I'll say it.
Nick shouldn't be allowed to mash buttons. But in all seriousness, what could the NBA truly do with the way the system is currently set up? I remember there were some questions of tanking back before LeBron James was drafted, where the Cavaliers were just losing games left and right, end up 17-65. But nothing ever came of that. What now? This is obviously a tanking effort because you didn't even put an NBA-worthy roster together. So obviously you're doing something horribly wrong. What can possibly the NBA do to enforce some sort of standard of quality? And, if we kind of put this craptacular prod together, we'd be on the streets at our job. But I don't see anything happening here.
Yeah, it cracks me up that it's intentional, and he's telling everybody, the fan base, Hinkie that is, and the people above him, hey, it's a process. It's going to be 7 to 8 years. And I just don't. There's no other profession on the planet where you can say, give me 7 to 8 years of making, of ruining our brand. They're not selling as much merchandise. They're obviously not selling as much tickets. They're losing revenue, obviously, in this situation, and that's not good. As a franchise, So there's no other job where you impact the profitability of your management above you in a negative fashion to that level, and you tell them it's going to be 7 years before things really turn around, and you still have a job, and he's making millions of dollars. It's a joke. I really think that he's a joke. I think that the plan's a joke. And there's people on both ends of the spectrum. As far as what the league can do, it's really tough. I mean, I have an associate's in criminal justice and a bachelor's in journalism. I was going to go into law enforcement, so I did a lot of I did some legal research, early on in my studies, and so you have to worry about the precedent that you're setting as a league. It's a very subjective thing, Apart from Sam Hinkie, if you look at other teams, so if you tell Sam you can't do this anymore, you tell the 76ers you can't do this anymore, and then another team has injury problems. They lose their 3 stars to injuries, and now they can't help but suck. Now you can't have a rule. You can't have a rule on the books that hurts that team. You know what I mean? So it's so hard to figure out what exactly you can do as a league. That's why I think that the best, and Kelly Scaletta actually talked about this, so I got to give him credit for that. For saying you got to de-incentivize it in a way, and that means you start paying these rookies. If they make an all-star team their first year, then they have to bump up their salary the next year. To make another all-star team, you got to bump it up. That way, in about 2 or 3 years, their salary's been doubled, and it ends up costing the team too much money to keep tanking and bringing in young stars that become stars. It's the only thing I can really think that'll work, but I'm not even sure that's going to work. It's such a subjective thing. I think that we're just going to have to eat it until the 76ers realize this is not going to work, and Hinkie's got to go.
Yeah, the Cavaliers, when they lost LeBron James, did a horrible job, but they actually, started to improve, with Kyrie. This team just keeps getting worse. Off the court too, Jahlil Okafor getting in trouble, that bar fight. You're right. He has no veteran presence to teach him how to do this, how to play the game, how to play off the court. I don't like Philadelphia as a sports town. I think their fans there are something completely off the wall. But I actually now feel bad for them because no city, maybe Detroit, deserves this. They don't deserve to have to look at this. I'm being from Cleveland. You'd think, it's a snake-bitten town. But Philadelphia with the Phillies, the Eagles, and the 76ers, I don't think there's a worse sports town right now. And these guys are the center of the dumpster fire. Yeah,
I think that up until about, 7 or 8 days ago, not a single Philadelphia, including the hockey team there, the Flyers, had won a home game yet. So it wasn't just, it's not just the 76ers. It's every franchise there in the city right now is really, really struggling. And it has everything to do with mismanagement. If you look at from the top down, Chip Kelly took on too much as a coach and a GM. It's really hard to do that nowadays. To be able to be mindful of the day-to-day tasks and duties of what you need to do as a GM and be a head coach in the NFL, it's almost impossible. And you look at the 76ers, they're being mismanaged. Obviously, we talked about that at length too. So it really is. It's tragic. I feel bad for the city. I think that the 76ers, they're not going to get any better anytime soon. I think the Eagles are going to be all right. But, it really is. It's sad to watch.
It's truly sad. Will, thank you so much for joining us. Before you go, tell everyone where they can find you online, in media, and all that jazz.
Oh, yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Will Reeve Jr. You can find me on Facebook, Will Reeve Sports Guru. You can connect with me on there. I host the All Weather Fan podcast once a week. We've actually got a couple of authors for some college basketball hoops books coming on this week from Triumph Books. And then the Restricted Area podcast is every Friday. Just go ahead and find that on iTunes. That's B-Ball Breakdown on iTunes. And we also do the Flagrant 2 podcast on Saturdays, too. So I'm always recording. I'm always producing something between B-Ball Breakdown, B-Ball Insiders, and the All Weather Fan podcast. So it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. You guys enjoy your night.
All right, you as well. We'll see you soon. That was Will Reeve from All Weather Fan, talking some NBA, both on the good with the Golden State Warriors, the bad with the Philadelphia 76ers. Nick, we're at the halfway point.
Yes,
which means
we are.
I need to crack something open.
That first hour actually flew by really quick, man. I mean, what do you call it? That's what happens when you have a very good rolling sports show like this one. So very happy with that. But I do